Hello, everyone, and welcome to Real Chat with Kat, a podcast dedicated to offering a growth mindset platform for us entrepreneurs, where we discuss everything from business, mindset, to life in general. I'm your host, Catherine Polsinelli, a business organizing powerhouse, personal development strategist, and owner of Agent Services Plus, a company focused on helping entrepreneurs just like you build, grow, and be courageous in their business. I'm so excited to have you with us today, so grab a cup of coffee or your favorite beverage and get ready to have some amazing conversations and fantastic takeaways. Let's jump right in. Hello today and welcome. So I have Miss Germyce Harris with me. I'm so excited to have you here today. So do us a favor and tell us who you are, what it is that you do, and kind of what got you into your line of work.
Absolutely. Okay, so my name is, as you said, Germyce, and my clients affectionately call me Miss Germyce, which is real old school and Southern, and I love that. So I am a medical school education consultant. I have worked in higher education for 10 years, and prior to that, I taught kindergarten through fifth grade for 10 years in Philadelphia, where I'm from. And so I've been in the education field my whole life, transitioned from a classroom teacher and moved into higher education, in particular medical school recruitment. And I absolutely loved recruiting for higher ed. And during my work there, I saw a need and created a business to meet the need.
Which I absolutely love. So can you give us a little bit more information about what it is that you do in your business? Because I think this is like super stellar, like really neat and very like niched to what a lot of people are needing.
Absolutely, absolutely. So as a recruiter in medical school, part of my job was I traveled the country and I recruited students for a medical school, one of the top tier medical schools in the country. And during that time, I saw discrepancy in African American, Latino, Latinx, Native American applicants to medical school. And I couldn't quite understand the reason why. At the time I worked at a medical school that was in a predominantly African American and Latino neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
And the student body that we accepted every year that started with us, they didn't reflect the patient the patient population in the hospital. And
Okay.
I saw it in my own eyes. I remember one orientation, I was like, this is a disconnect. Like what is going on? And I spoke, during recruitment, because I said I was a road warrior. So I was always on the road going to different recruitment events.
Mm-hmm.
And students would come to me, in particular Black students, they would come to me pleading that they wanted to get into medical school. They were very frustrated about the lack of information on how to get to medical school.
Okay.
Get into medical school, the lack of encouragement that they were receiving at their predominantly white universities. And they were very discouraged, right? And I decided, you know what? So I made it my mission to help them. So I just, I give my cell phone number, my email address. I arranged private tours of our medical school. I would talk to students at night over the phone and say, after work, and say, listen, this is what you need to do to make yourself a more competitive applicant.
Mm-hmm.
I would review personal statements and proofread personal statements and help students create journals to write down their stories of patient interaction and engagement, like all these things. And I said to myself, wow, this could be a business, right? Well, at least that's what I thought. Well, the first thing I did, I went online to see what resources were available to students.
Yeah.
I found people who were doing medical school consulting. A lot of them, like me, they were former, retired medical school admissions professionals.
Mm-hmm.
Started a business in consulting, and they were charging, just the rates were like, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is crazy, right? And I said, you know what, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to have a niche group. So I'm going to work with underrepresented student medicine, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
Black and brown people who are underrepresented in medicine, and I'm going to make my rates completely reasonable so that they can, afford to get additional help and resources. And so from there, I started Black and Brown Pre-Med Academy,
which I absolutely love. I think that's fantastic. And I love that you actually took into consideration of trying to find out, what else is out there, but seeing that there is a huge disconnect in what people are charging for those that are actually trying to get into medical school. Because we all know that college alone is not cheap. Right. So when you're trying to get into something specific like medical, which is, in my personal opinion, can be a little bit more difficult for certain things. I do feel like having that understanding, or maybe even connecting with other schools to see how they can help so that you can do that better. So do you focus on like just specific in your area, or are you more abroad in the States, or how are you handling it right now?
Anyone who books a consultation with me, I will work with. So my target market is undergraduate students and high school students. So they can be in 11th and 12th grade who are interested in medicine. And what I consider what I do is I help you navigate how the application process, how you navigate interviews. There are all these stepping stones, right, to get into medicine. It's some people think, oh, well, you just, you take your MCAT and you get a great score and you can get in. But it's more to it than that. And also with the population that I'm working with, there are tremendously more barriers to getting into medical school. So you mentioned the cost. So the cost is a factor. So
Yeah.
Students can graduate. The average student who graduates from medical school has at least $250,000 in debt.
Oh my gosh.
Medical school is very expensive. It can be anywhere from $80,000 a year on up. That's just the tuition. But then you also have the application process, because let's just say I want to apply to medical school. I need to cast my net far and wide. So you may have an application fee that's $100. And if you apply to 10 or 12 schools, you're looking at over $1,000 just to apply. It doesn't mean you're going to get in, right? That's just to apply.
Yeah.
There is, and then once you're in medical school, let's say you're in medical school, now it's, you're in your 4th year, you're going out to residency interviews. So once you decide, okay, I want to be a pediatrician. Okay, now you have to go to pediatrician. You have to go on your residency interviews. You have to pay for travel, for lodging, your food. All of that needs to be taken into consideration. A lot of students take out loans to cover that. So medical school is very expensive for everyone, right? But the population that I'm working with have a particular set of barriers. Number one, let's just talk about Black men, for instance. Right now, there are 3% of the physicians in this country are African-American men. 3%.
Wow.
The rates of African-American men graduating from medical school are fewer today than they were in the 70s. So when we talk about a group that, number one, it's a niche market, right? But there's also a niche need.
Yeah.
Because there are so many, again, barriers, healthcare disparities. It's so many things that can discourage students from getting into medical school, and or even applying and even thinking that they could go into medicine. And I just want to pause right here just to share a brief story. What really lit a fire under me.
Yeah.
I remember I went to a recruitment event. I was at a school, and I was asked to be on a panel, a professional, an expert panel, students advice and tips on matriculating into medical school. And afterwards, two African-American young ladies came up to me, and they were practically in tears, and they said that they were so frustrated because their advisor, they had a rough first year, which many people, right? Who doesn't, right? Your first year in undergrad. They went to their pre-health advisor, and they were discouraged from going into medicine. There was something like, oh, I think this person had said, maybe you should consider being a nurse, or maybe you should consider being a teacher, because medicine may not be for you. And they were crushed. And
Wow.
you talk about being enraged and like riled up. I was like, I'm bringing out my mom's South Carolina. I was riled up. I was outraged. Like, how dare they? And how dare they not encourage you and show you how you can make up for these poor grades?
Yeah.
So, and then when you look at, if you come from a public school that is in an urban environment, you may not, chances are you did not get the preparation that you needed to take college level sciences. So if you just barely scraped it out, got by to graduate high school, and your school is not maybe not a college prep school, there's a challenge, and you go in and you say, okay, I'm going to declare pre-health, and these students register for all these heavy sciences. And you're taking your biology, your chemistry, you're overloading the first semester. You're not doing well. So you're not doing well.
Yeah.
Your grades plummet. And then someone looks at that and says, yeah, maybe medicine is not for you. But that's not true, right? So what you do in that instance, like maybe you don't take all your sciences, as many sciences the first semester. Maybe you build it up. Maybe over the summer, you take a summer course at a community college in biology to review what you haven't gotten, or any gaps between what you've learned in high school. There are a lot of ways, right? So one bad semester does not make someone a failure, and doesn't mean that you can't get into medical school. And so I had seen that time and time and again. I heard these same stories. My advisor says, it's not for me, or I don't know how I can get a summer internship. I don't, I've never, I'm 20 years old. I've never even had a Black doctor, right? And so that's when I saw the niche. I was like, I need to help. I need to do this. And I call myself, my husband says, well, if you're not making money, it's just a hobby. Well, I had a hobby for 3 years, because for 3 years I was up late at night, editing, advising, doing all this stuff. And then finally I was like, I got to do this. Like, I just have to go out and because there's a little fear when you're out. And I said, I just need to walk that diving board and jump off the diving board.
And I love that too. And I love that you're still kind of in the trenches when it comes to figuring all of that out, because I think that a lot of people forget what that means, or what that feels like when you're trying to create something from nothing, right? Or you have this amazing idea and that you want to help people, or like you were already helping people, right? You just weren't getting paid for it. So where do you feel like the transition in your mind kind of kicked in, where you were like, okay, I know this is my calling. Like, I know this is what I want to do, but now I need to figure out how to move into an entrepreneurial space?
Oh my gosh. Let me tell you, I sat on this idea for years, like for 3 years, because because people knew, like I said, word of mouth. I would have people call me, current medical students would have friends in undergrad or different contexts. People reach out to them just through the grapevine or through networking. I really need someone to help me. And I say, I know somebody, call Miss Germyce. And so I would text messages. Hi, Mr. Meese. This is so-and-so. I'm from this school. So-and-so said I should reach out to you. And so I was doing it. I said, fine, I'll talk to you. Great. Let me help you. And then one day, so here's the other thing too. I felt guilty. And I don't know if if all women go through this. I felt guilty for taking money. Like, I didn't want to take any money, because I felt like this is a passion. This is, like, I shouldn't do it. And then I thought, well, I'm not going to charge, like, because I've seen, places that you're talking about thousands and thousands of dollars, right? You want a consultation, it's $700. Like, what? I would never do that. But I had to think, my labor is valuable. I'm still helping you, right? I'm worthy of being paid what I'm worth. I'm worthy of that honor, right? Of being paid, because we never go to an employer and say, oh no, you can't pay me $100,000 a year. I'll work for you for
Right.
I'm really passionate about. I never said that when I taught people, never.
Yeah.
I really had to engage in a lot of positive self-talk and flip that switch for me in my head. The next thing I had to do is because here's the thing, at the time when I had this business idea, I was still currently working for a medical school. And I knew that it would be a conflict of interest for me to continue to work at a medical school and have a business on the side. It would be a conflict of interest only because of that field, right? It's almost like, I don't know. I can't think of an analogy now, but it just didn't look good, right? Because what if that person got into the school that I was working in? Would it be like, oh, Mr. Meese gave them the hookup or something like that? So I changed careers. I worked in insurance, which I don't recommend people just like up and quit their job and start a business. I mean, if you can sustain yourself for 3 to 6 months or even a year financially, go ahead and do it. Everybody do what's best for you. I think we should have a disclaimer here. This is not disclaimer. The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are not necessarily right? So I went and I worked in insurance, which is totally different field. And I said, okay, I'll have something that's I'll have a paycheck coming in, and then I could focus on my business.
Yeah.
But guess what happened? I didn't focus on my business.
I can't imagine that happening. No one else has ever gone through that.
Okay. Okay. I'm so glad I'm not the only one. And my husband and my friends say, you got to do this. This is so important. This is great work. Yeah. And so then the pandemic happened, right? Which was everybody has been forced to like think of alternative ways to make an income, or we all have been still and quiet enough to really think about what we really want. Yeah. This is something that I really wanted. So I created my webpage. And I'm actually and I just was a little afraid to put myself out there. So I was like, you got to put yourself out there. My friend's like, okay, you got the website, but come on, you got to put yourself out there. So I'm excited that I'm hosting my free live webinar on December 5th. So it's, I've promoted it. It's out there. It's free to register. It's just going to be a Q&A. And I feel like this is my reveal to the world, because it's almost like if right? I still get calls, I still get texts. As a matter of fact, someone reached out to me from California about, they found out through me because I was on a talk. I think I was in a clubhouse room about medical school. Okay. And there was a mother on that talk, and she forwarded her information to her daughter, and her daughter called me. And so I've been working with her. And I said, okay, you know what? Now I'm ready to just go full throttle and just jump off that diving board. But I think the key for me to do that was I think women, we have to know this, right? Our labor has value, and it's okay to charge a fee.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. And I feel like anyone that I've ever dealt with that has like that nurturing side where all we want to do is just like give and help and things like that's when we run into that mindset, right? Of like, oh, but I just want to be helpful, so I can't charge if I'm being helpful. But like you said, everybody else charges, right? Or if you go to a corporate office and they need you to do a job, you're going to charge to work there. So I definitely agree with that. But I love that you brought up the fact that you said you had to teach yourself positive talk. Can you give me a little bit of, because I love this kind of stuff, right? Like this is, in my opinion, this is, like you said, this is going off that diving board. This is learning how to get closer to the edge and taking that leap. And sometimes you can't just walk to the edge and jump. Sometimes you need like a couple of steps here and a couple of steps there to get you closer before you can take that leap. So it sounds like you had a few of those before you took that jump off that diving board.
Absolutely. I'll share with you a few. So the one thing I did was compare, which we should never do. So I would say, well, I'm not a physician, so how can I really help people? Like I started questioning my skill set.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would think, well, wait a minute. No, I'm not a doctor, but I've sat on admissions committee interviews, like, or, evaluations. I know what goes on in
Mm-hmm.
that room. I know what the student experience is, and I know what the admissions experience is on the other side. And
Yeah.
because I'm not a physician, does do all physicians know what happens in that room? Because just because you're a physician doesn't mean that you've been on admissions committee and admissions.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to talk myself down off the ledge from that. And then I said, oh, well, there are a couple other people doing what I do. So if they're already doing it, why do
Mm.
I need to do it? And I sat and I looked around, so my other self said, the self-talk, the other self said, well, did Nike ask Adidas if it was okay to make sneakers? It's like some people like Adidas, some people like Nike, some people like Skechers, some people like New Balance. And I was like,
Yeah.
right? Just like, you complimented me earlier on my lipstick, right? So you can get Revlon, Mary Kay, L'Oreal. Everybody is right. Everybody is doing what they want to do. And they're not, you can't look to the left, you can't look to the right. What you do and what I did is create a niche boutique style consulting business. And I follow the model that I had when I was a recruiter for medical school.
Mm-hmm.
And my motto was, I'm looking for people who are looking for me.
Ooh, I like that. I love it. And I feel like so many people, like you were saying, get stuck in that self-talk of, somebody else is already doing it, or how would I be able to do this if I don't have the expertise per se in this area? But like I tell a lot of people that I work with, everyone starts from ground zero, right? I mean, when you were born, you weren't walking and running. You had to learn how to balance first, to learn how to crawl, right? To roll over, to crawl, you had all these things that you had to do in order to get there. So it's having that confidence and knowing that yourself is going to be able to overcome those as you go through them. If you don't feel like you have enough experience, but you know what you're good at, then broaden your horizon, read a few books, watch some YouTube videos, find out a little bit more information so you can build that confidence and expand how your mind thinks, right? Or have that conversation with yourself of, like you said, people that are looking for you, because everybody has a different perspective and not everybody's looking for the same perspective, nor do they always understand what that person is saying, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I really had to, because I would think, I would search social media and say, oh, wow, I don't know how to make, fancy TikTok videos where the words are like above their head and they're pointing in different directions. Yep. Thinking, well, how do you do that? And I'm thinking, well, nobody, because I'm not out there on social media like that. No, I'm never going to get any clients. Maybe listen, I'm clearly not tech savvy, right? But what I do know is what I do know, right? I know what I know, and I know what I don't know. Yeah. And I thought about it. I said, you know what? I could easily find someone who is in high school or in college. Like, listen, $20 an hour, come over, videotape me, show me how to do a TikTok, right? Yeah. I can, even my youngest, who is a freshman in college and absolutely loves TikTok and video and all that. And I said, you know what? I'm going to get her to do a video of me. Like, I think we also, sometimes we focus on everything that we can't do or that we don't know how to do. And we need to start with what we know, right? Start with what you know, and be able to ask for help for the things that you don't, right? So just because I don't know how to make a TikTok doesn't mean that I can't learn.
Yeah.
It's like, okay. And that's, honestly, that is not my thing. I'm slowly going to branch into that. But when I say boutique style, it's like, old school pen and paper and a notebook. Like, you know what I mean? Like, seriously, I am old school in that way. And that just works for me.
Yeah.
So you have to find what works for you.
Yeah. And there's still tons of people that enjoy pen and paper, right? That enjoy it. Even some of the younger generation. It's funny to see like the transition in some of them and how they do things a little bit different, and those that are trying to get away from like all of the technology so that they can be a little bit more focused, right? And just like you said, and I think that's something that a lot of people forget is you can ask. It's okay to ask.
Oh my gosh, I feel like sometimes I feel like I'm thinking I'm an army of one, but I'm not an army of one. I can engage my kids to help me. My husband I'm so lucky and so grateful and so thankful for him. He has been a full supporter of this since the light bulb popped over my head, like, oh, I need to have a consulting business. This is what I want to do. He's like, I think that's a great idea. And he's always supported me. So I think you need to ask for help, right? And whatever you don't know how to do, we can learn. And I think for me, when I made that switch, it's like, listen, the important thing is that you put yourself out there so that people know what you're doing and you get clients. It doesn't matter about a fancy TikTok, right? It doesn't, and it's kind of like not my style really, but that doesn't matter. The important thing is sharing your expertise. People do business with who they know, like, and trust.
Yes.
So once they know you, put yourself out there, they get to know you. You share your experiences, and then you become to them the expert, right? Which I already know, like, I'm an expert. Like I said, I know what I know, right? Yeah. So you have to share with them some key tips and points, and they'll say, oh, you know what? That's a great idea. I never thought of it this way. I want to reach out to her and see if I can get, a consultation. I just, have her look over my application or that sort of thing. And that's a start. That's where you want to be. Just put yourself out there and let people know what you do, because until they know, you're not in business.
Yep. Amen. No, it's so true.
And I saw something the other day online. Someone said, it was some video someone shared with me. And it's like, you know what? The guy was saying essentially, like, when you die alone. Like, everybody's going to leave here, right? Why do we spend so much time thinking about or caring about what other people are going to say or what other people are doing? It's like, do you?
Yeah, it is definitely a fault within the human brain. I feel like, and we get caught in that, that cycle of, okay, but I should be doing this because everybody else is doing this, and I should be trying this because everybody else is doing that, instead of leaning into what you're good at and staying that way. And like you said, if you want to branch out into it later, then you can, and you can try it out, but focus on what you're great at. And if that is connecting with people and people are referred to you because of who they know, but social media isn't necessarily your thing, great. Focus on that, hone in on that, love on that, and help your business grow while learning something else that you genuinely want to learn. I think that's the other thing people forget is we get caught in all of these different fads, or, oh, I should be here, or I should be doing this, or, well, I can't do business if I'm not here. But if you genuinely don't want to learn it, it is not going to do you any good anyway. And it's going to be 10 times harder for you to try to digest it and remember it to try and implement later.
Exactly. I agree. And I thought, I don't want to be, the flashy video hype person. I'm like, I just want to help people. Like, that's all. I just want to hang my shingle, work with, and work with people. And guess what? That's okay, because the universe has enough for everybody. So it's enough room for people who want to be out there on social media, and it's enough room for people who don't. It's okay.
Yes.
The key for me is just the big reveal, putting myself out there. And I was like, I don't know. I was like afraid for a while. And like I said, the pandemic happened. I said, you know what? I need to jump off that diving board. Because if not now, when are you going to do it? Right.
Yeah. Yep. You can just prolong it the rest of your life, and it's never going to happen.
It's never going to happen. Just like little things every day. A friend of mine, I was talking to him. He's a caterer, and he was talking about just how he runs his business a little bit every day. I may not have 4 hours today, because he's also an adjunct professor.
Oh, and wow.
So he has a lot going on. He's like, I do a little bit every day.
Yeah.
So I prep for my class. You have to set up your time. He's like, from 10 to 1, I'm prepping for my classes. So I'm recording video, I'm checking assignments, I'm doing everything I need to do for my class. And then after that, take a break, then the next switch comes on, right? making sure my catering events are on my calendar. I'm, making sure I've ordered food, like everything that I need to do. That's how you break up your day, because you can't do everything all at once.
Yeah.
But day by day, do one thing at a time.
Yes, definitely. And I think that those little things, if you can separate it down into those compartments, it also helps you. It makes it easier for you to be proud of yourself in those moments, right? Instead of bogging yourself down with this giant list of 30 things that you need to do. And then even if you get 20 of them done, you don't feel like you completed anything because you don't have the list done.
You don't have it done. Right. So you have to just, this is what I need. What are the most important things that I need to get done today?
Mm-hmm.
What is going to have the biggest impact on my business?
Yes.
Let me do that, because the side business or the side things, if it's, I don't know, data entry, for example. I'm going way back. Do people still say data entry? Oh my God. I'm showing my age. Anyway, the tedious, and when I say menial, it's not menial, because everything is important. But those types of things are not, that is something that I procrastinate in. I don't enjoy that sort of thing. We can get someone to do that for us.
Yeah.
Right. We can get someone to do that for us. But the big things, that's what we need to focus on as much as we can and do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. So before we end, I always like to ask if you have any type of quote or positivity statement or anything that you tend to go back to that you could share with the listeners that could help them today.
Oh my gosh, what can I share with them? So for me, one of my favorite quotes, and I don't even know who said this, I've seen it somewhere. She believed she could, so she did.
Oh, yes. I like that one. I see that one a lot and I have it saved.
And we have to believe that we can do, because it really starts in the mind. Can we just share that real quick? If listeners get nothing else, it starts in the mind. If you cannot see yourself doing it, same thing with, I really stress the importance to the students I work with. You need to reach out to physicians of color, find professional organizations, reach out for mentorship, because I've seen where a lot of physicians and organizations that will come into schools, elementary schools, and do workshops or talks, because we have to see it to believe it.
Yeah.
Right. And in our mind, we have to see ourselves doing it. Like you have to, because it's so funny. My husband even said to me one day, he had got on me. He said, listen, I can't want this more than you. You're good at this. I believe in you, but until you believe in you, your business is going to go nowhere. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how many people say this is a great idea.
Yeah.
You can get 1,000 people to say that, but until you believe that, nothing's going to happen. And so that's how I had to change my mindset.
I love that. Well, Germyce, share with us, where can everybody find you, connect with you, get in touch with you?
You can visit us online. My website is www.blackandbrownpremed.com, www.blackandbrownpremed.com. And you can email me at Germyce, Germy, as in yo-yo, GERMYCE @gmail.com. All lowercase letters, Germyce @gmail.com.
I love that. And we'll have the information in the show notes as well. So anybody that needs to connect with her would like to, can. Is there anywhere you'd like for anyone to follow you online, since you were trying to start your social media presence and having...
I would love for people to send me a quick email of encouragement. Just say hello, send me referrals, visit my website. And we're also at Black and Brown Pre-Med on Instagram as well. Yeah, awesome. Send me email. I'm all open to collaborations. I know that there are people like me who have the same mindset, and you go further when you go together. So I'm all open to collaborations and working with folks.
That. Thank you so much, Germyce. And to everybody out there, I hope you guys got some amazing takeaways today. And until next time, find at least one thing that you can do positively for someone else each and every day. I promise it will change your life. Until next time, we'll see you later.
Hello again, and thank you so much for tuning into today's episode. If you absolutely loved what you heard, please be sure to subscribe, share, and leave a review so we can keep the good stuff rolling. Got something you'd love to hear us discuss? Then be sure to message me on social media and let's work together to spread even more amazing content. And if you haven't yet connected with me on social media, be sure to follow along at Agent Services Plus. I'm so excited to connect with you on the next episode, and until next time, be sure to find things that help you learn, grow, and be inspired.